When you look at these drums, and do you have to open them to verify stuff inside, or can you just x-ray them?
So that's a good point. We do have what we call a real-time radiography system, and we have a new one that we use for boxes. That's a super radiography system that can actually see through one of these metal boxes. And it's almost like looking at live video. We can see it on a turntable moving. We can see if there's free liquids in there. We can see if there are dense items in there that have to be removed. So in many cases, we can screen them out. And if we x-ray them and don't see any prohibited items, we can go ahead and if the drum's still certified, we can ship that drum to WIPP, or we can overpack that drum into a larger drum and ship that drum to WIPP that is certified. And then with non-destructive analysis, so that tells me if there's no items in there that are prohibited. That's one criteria for WIPP. The other criteria is total activity can only be so much per container. So even though there may not be a prohibited item in the container, if it has too much radioactivity in it, radioactive material in it, we will actually have to open those up and repackage those. The WIPP facility, where I do a lot of my higher activity drums, in many cases when we repackage a drum, we may have as many as 13 or 14 daughter drums. So one drum, and we'll talk about that in a minute, one drum can create multiple drums that have to go to WIPP because we have to break it down to meet the WIPP limits. This is in the center of our report, quarterly report, and it's a little backwards because it's a work-off curve. So my target this year is 800 cubic meters for the end of 13, 2,600, and as Bruce said, the last of it in third quarter of 14, the 3706 were complete with the curve. So this purple line on my progress, as long as I stay below my projections here, I'm actually working things off faster than I should be. So the reality is right now, a volume shift, I'm ahead of the game. If I was on the line, I'm on game. If I'm below the line, then I'm going to finish early. So hopefully we're going to pull this curve down in this time frame and finish up in the first or second quarter of 14. That would be the ultimate goal if we don't run into too many problems. But this is a work-off curve. So when you look at this, you want to look at it that as long as I stay below these lines, I'm meeting and exceeding my goals. The reality is right now, knock wood, I'm at 170% of schedule. So if I was on schedule, I'd be up here on the line of where I thought I'd be at this time of year. I'm actually 170% of schedule, so I'm ahead of schedule by 70%. Is that, okay, see head shaking, you understand? Kind of an interesting concept to deal with. So this is the bottom of the report. One of the questions we have when we start working with the state is we only know what's in the parent drum when we start. We don't know how many daughter drums or containers we're going to produce. So what we do is we set up this graphic here showing what was the original volume that we processed, and then we have the green box that goes in here with the cog wheel showing that we repackaged it. Now what was actually sent to WIPP. And what you see here, because I've been doing drums and they tend to multiply, I started out with 477 cubic meters, but I shipped 518 cubic meters because I had to break them down into multiple drums. We also had 11 cubic meters here that was reclassified that didn't have enough radioactivity in it to go to WIPP, so that would go to someplace like the Nevada site or the Clive site. So we're helping this. We're helping people understand what's received at WIPP isn't necessarily the original volume. Now this is going to change quite a bit when we start on those box lines because drums multiply, boxes get smaller. If I have a glove box that's half the size of this room, we send guys in there to break it down. I may only get a few cubic meters out of that, so you're going to see the sizes start to reduce dramatically as well. So this metric is going to be more important as we get into boxes, helping people understand why we're shipping less waste than we have, and the reason is we're going to do that volume reduction. We also provide on the report the ultimate goal, what our goal is this year. We're at 450 of 800 cubic meters, our projection, so we're ahead of schedule there. And as long as I meet 800 for FY12, I met the goal, but I think we're going to exceed that and start actually getting some of this FY13 scope here. And then for a graphic purpose, so people can kind of understand how we're doing it, for the MAR reduction, the material at risk, the PE curies, we're at 26% of the total campaign has been removed. And then 3706, the volume, we're at 12.1% here, has been removed of the total volume of the campaign. So it's a one-page report. It's on the state's website. It's on the lab's website. But if you spend a couple minutes with it, it gives you a whole lot of insight as to how we're proceeding and how progress is going. And the last slide, we won't get into any detail, but this is Area G if you haven't seen it before. It gives you kind of an overview of this is a storage dome. This is a storage dome where we have boxes, and all the boxes, all the wooden boxes are now under fire suppression. So that's a good news story there. This dome's been cleaned out. It's my new box line. This dome is drums that have been repacked, awaiting certification. The Carlsbad folks work in pad 10 over here, and this is their certification equipment, their NDA, non-destructive analysis, and their radiography equipment. My box line that's working right now, a new box line, and then we have some storage. And this dome 49, I've got so many drums backlogged to go to WIPP. It's totally dedicated to just stored, certified waste drums ready to go. That allows the Carlsbad folks to mix and match and get those optimum shipments.